Okay.
Welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. And I'm going to let my guest share her incredible journey. We're going to be talking about her books, and we're going to be talking about her life, basically. And then I'll be asking her the baseline questions like I normally do all along the way. And then at the end, she can ask me a couple questions. So I'm going to let my guest take it away.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you for having me on your podcast. My name is Lorraine Reguly, and I run Wording Well, which is primarily a word-based business. I do writing, editing, and blogging, and I teach others through my blog posts as well as by providing them with one-on-one coaching or mentoring. And I help others become self-published authors.
Well, how cool is that? So, okay, my first question, and I'm going to ask you this because I'm selfish. Let's just throw that out there. I recently published a book. It's not my first published book. It's about my eighth published book, and I'm still having problems launching it, mainly on ebooks. But how could a person like me get help from you?
So what you would do is you would approach me either through email or Facebook or whatever kind of social medium is your favorite way of talking to people. And we would set up an appointment to discuss what you have done and what you still need to do.
Okay, so I I am asking this because I'm selfish and I want to make sales off this ebook. And I was looking, I'm actually going back to school, as you guys know, for a journalism degree, which I'll be done with that in 2019. And as I finish up my semester, they say freelance is the way to go. And after I get this journalism degree, yes, I'll be a freelance writer. And so, are you freelance, or you do it on a case by case basis? What do you consider yourself?
Well, I'm a freelance writer and editor, but when it comes to being an author, I have a different website for that where I talk about my book and talk about the different things that self-published authors are involved in. So basically, I mean, I would initially ask you, like I said, what have you done up to this point? Where are you selling your book? Do you have an author website? What have you done in terms of marketing? I mean, there's so many different things that we would be able to discuss about this.
Yeah, you guys, I think I'm going to use Roy because I need help. I thought I had it all under control, but oops, I don't. I'm getting it under control. I'm getting it under control, but I think I'm going to use Loy and use Loy's services because this is my ninth published book, and I still am making mistakes along the way. I admit to you guys, and I'm still making mistakes along the way, and I know you guys want to see me succeed, but without the team, I can't succeed. So I think I'm going to be adding Lloyd to my team. And that being said, Lloyd, what is your favorite book?
I actually don't have a favorite book, but I do have 3 favorite authors.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Well, I enjoy reading murder mysteries. I've always loved them. And so my top 3 favorite authors are Lisa Jackson, Lisa Gardner, and James Patterson.
So, okay. Why did you start doing what you're doing? Why did you start self-publishing books and becoming a freelance writer?
Well, initially, I've always loved writing and editing. Anything to do with words has been my passion ever since I was a very young child. My mom was actually a grade 1 and 2 teacher, and I was her firstborn. So when she had me, she actually ended up quitting teaching and spent all of her time at home with me, teaching me everything. And so I learned how to read and write by the age of 5. And I've always loved reading and writing. And when I got my education, I became an English teacher. High school math and English are my 2 subjects that I teach. And so after I was in a really, really bad accident where I almost lost my leg and I was unable to return to teaching, what I did was I ended up starting a website, and then I eventually started freelance writing for other people. So my business became freelance writing and editing. And then once I learned how to become a self-published author, I added more services to my business so that I could help others become authors too.
So, okay. So your injury got you out of teaching and basically led to your passion.
Right.
Okay, cool. Because I have a injury myself. I have a bad back. And so that is why I am now, you and I have a very similar story. I have CP / cerebral palsy / a bad back on top of it. And so I feel like I should be leading with my passion instead of, how do I put this, instead of doing the 9-to-5 job.
Oh, I completely agree. And that's the thing, like when you have something happen to your body that makes you change your life and your lifestyle, you have to find something that will fit into that new way of living for you. And for me, I mean, I suffered from depression for years and years. And I became a hermit. I basically didn't go out anywhere. I was home all the time. And so sitting in front of a computer is something that's easy for me. And because I'm the type of person where I can actually just learn from reading and teach myself things, I just read and talked to people on the internet, read tons and tons of articles, and basically taught myself how to go through all of the steps of self-publishing and to make sure that I knew all of the steps correctly. I put together a short book of a few short stories that I had written long ago, assembled them together in a book, and hired a cover designer to create the cover because I'm not artistic that way. And so I ended up taking all of these things that I learned, uploaded it to Amazon, and then to Create Space so that people could order it as a print book.
Yes.
And it worked. Everything turned out perfectly. And so after that, I then helped a blind man publish a book. Now he's working on his 3rd book, which is due out next month. So I'm really excited. I mean, and then this past year I published my 2nd book called From Nope to Hope: How I Overcame My Suicidal Thoughts and How You Can Too. And publishing that, I mean, that was my big project. I had worked on that book for about a year. I mean, there's over 300 pages in that book. So just by incorporating the things that I've loved into my new lifestyle of, being at home all the time and not being able to do a lot of physical activity, I was able to do that. And for you, I mean, I think it's great that you're doing the exact same thing. You've adjusted your life to fit your new life needs.
But it took me 30 years to adjust my life. I mean,
hey, better late than never, right?
It took me 30 years. Oh, geez. It just took me not to say that I haven't accepted cerebral palsy. I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy on June 23rd, 1987, officially June 23rd, 1987, even though I was born on June 22nd. And not to say that I haven't accepted cerebral palsy, but now I'm doing what I love and getting professionally trained to do what I love.
Well, that's wonderful. And like I said, better late than never.
Better
right?
late, better late
You
than
have to
never.
focus
I love
on
it.
the positive things. That's one thing I've learned is you have to focus on the positive things,
Yes.
where you are now and where you're going, not where you've been.
Yeah, not where you've been. So, okay, what has been your favorite entrepreneurial moment in all this?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I actually, when I realized that other people wanted to pay me for my knowledge and my services, I thought that was just fabulous. Because when I initially started out, I thought, okay, well, I'm just doing some research here to figure out how I can pursue my literary career as an author. But then once I started blogging, okay, so what happened was I actually bought the 2013 Writers Market, and it said that authors are now expected to promote their own works. And so they suggested having, different social media accounts and having a website. And I thought, oh, geez, I don't even know what blogging is or what running a website involves. So I did some more research and found out that you could basically start a free website with no money whatsoever on a site called WordPress.com. And then after a year of doing that, well, I had started earning money throughout that year by writing for other people. And so what happened was I took my free website and I switched it over to my own hosted website so that I could actually start monetizing it, installing AdSense and offering my services and getting paid for all these things. So it was pretty cool that, other people actually wanted to pay me for my knowledge and my services.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So you left the education field because did you leave it alone because of your accident, or did you leave it alone just because you wanted to pursue your passion and get paid for your passion?
The story behind that's a little bit different. I didn't leave it because of my accident. My accident happened 2 years after I left teaching. When I graduated from university, because I had been born and raised in Thunder Bay, Ontario, there were no teaching jobs there available when I was looking. And so I ended up moving to a small town and teaching there for 3.5 years. And I wasn't happy there. And so I ended up quitting that job to move back home. And that's why I left teaching, because I just wasn't happy in the town I was in.
Aha. Aha. Okay. So that's why you left teaching. Now, are you still living at home?
I'm back. I've been back in Thunder Bay ever since. Yeah, except for those 3.5 years that I moved away to teach, I have been living in Thunder Bay my entire life.
Wow.
And still living here.
Still living there. Well, you guys, I'm still living in Aspen, Colorado, believe it or not. And so, but I love it. But I don't do any book work up here, even though I should. I have my fan base up here. I do the majority of my book work online. I publish my books via Create Space and via Draft to Digital for my ebooks. And so you guys could use Lori or myself for your knowledge, because what people are having all the time with Lori, and you can agree with me or disagree on this, they say I want to write a book, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, a lot of people, really have the desire that they know inside themselves they want to write a book. They have a book in them, but they don't know where to start. And that's another thing that I help people with, because um, basically where you should be starting is by writing everything out. Once you have things written out, then it can be all organized. You can use an outline to help you write, of course. But once you actually have something written down, then you have something to work with. And so, I mean, that's the biggest problem for writers, because a lot of people struggle from writer's block. They don't know how to organize things. And that's where they need help. So, I mean, there's a lot of different starting places, but basically the main place to start is actually by writing.
Thank you. I couldn't emphasize that more. And then you need to get an editor. I don't care about the cover designer, but you need to get a high quality editor, because these books are not walking themselves to the New York Times if they're the Toronto store, if they're not edited well. And Lloyd's laughing at me because she knows that the truth.
Because it's 100% true.
Lloyd's laughing at me because she knows the truth. We don't care about the cover design. The cover design, you can make it all pretty. Oh, I don't care. But if it's poorly edited,
and that's why they say never judge a book by its cover,
yeah,
right?
never judge a book by its cover.
You judge it by the writing. And if the writing is horrible, I mean, I saw this one author one time who was promoting his book for free on Facebook, and he had included a sample chapter, and I read through it and I said, you need to hire an editor. No one is going to want to read this. No one is going to want to buy this when it becomes available. And yes, even though it's free right now, you know what? You're still not going to get very many people downloading it because it's poorly edited. Like, it wasn't edited. That's the thing. Like, it was poor. I won't say poorly written, but it was poorly written. Like, the content was good, but there were so many grammatical errors and typos that it was just like, it hurt me to read it.
I finally have found a good editor, and I finally have found a good cover designer, thank God. So now I just write the book, hand it to my editor, hand it to my cover designer, and they do all the magic. And then I have to self-publish it, of course, but they do all the magic. So,
Right.
Roy, I have a question for you. Someone who's listening to this interview either on Spotify or in their podcasting app, what would you say to them? What would you say to them on writing their first book when they say, oh, I can't do it, I have writer's block, or something to that effect? What would you say to them?
Well, initially I would ask them why they want to write a book, because there's a reason why we do things, and figuring out the why will help you get started. If you can answer certain questions, then that will be something that can get you started writing your book. I mean, for me, when I wrote From Nope to Hope, I wanted to share why and how I was able to rid myself of depression and rid myself of the suicidal thoughts that I had. And I even tried killing myself once, and I wrote an article about that, about my whole experience. And when I saw, and I published it on my website, and when I saw that people were reading it, like over 500 people every day were reading this article because they wanted to kill themselves and they didn't know what to do and they didn't know how to cope with their feelings, I realized that there was a huge need for me to help these people. And I needed to share all of the strategies and techniques that I learned and not used because I still use them, to deal with all of those kinds of thoughts and feelings. And so that's exactly why I started writing my book. And then the how became taking all of those strategies and techniques and organizing them in a coherent way throughout the book so that people could learn from what I had done. And not only did I share all of those strategies and techniques that I use, but I also invited a few other people to contribute their personal stories to my book, and included them as chapters as well, to show that people, like, you're not alone. There's a lot of different situations that will cause us to have those kinds of feelings. And I included not only my story, but the story of 4 other people as well. So figuring out the why is one of the first steps that'll help you get started.
Well, as I was writing my 3rd autobiography, you guys, my editor, who is still a friend of mine, said to me, well, I don't get the day in the life of CP. I don't understand the day in the life of your life. You should write a book about that. So that's the why of my 4th autobiography. And now I'm planning on writing my 5th autobiography and publishing that with a publisher, because a lot of publishers, I've come to quickly discover, don't do fictional novels. Oh no, they do autobiographies. So I said to this publisher, look, I'll do a 5th autobiography and publish it with you guys.
That's wonderful.
And so basically I started this journey when I was 23, and hopefully I'm going to make it to the New York Times bestseller list. That's a whole another monkey in itself.
That's the dream of every author, isn't it?
Yeah, we hope that we hope that Win can make it to the New York Times bestseller list in the next couple of years, and 90,000 copies sold later. That's the number I've been told. So I hope you guys want to help me, and not only help me, but use Lori as your guiding star in life and publishing your books, or use me. Either one. We're both available for consultations. And that being said, Lori, where can people find you, and how can people get a hold of you?
I'm all over social media. My full name is Lorraine Reguly, and I'm on Twitter as @Lorraine Reguly, Instagram @Lorraine Reguly, Pinterest Lorraine Reguly, Google Plus, Facebook, all the same, Lorraine Reguly. I also have my website called lorrainereguly.com, and my business Wordingwell has a contact page. Wordingwell.com has a contact page that lists every single social media account that I have. So whatever your favorite way of connecting with me would be, that's where you would find me. Go to wordingwell.com, go to my contact page, or Google Lorraine Reguly and see like the thousands of search results that pop up.
Yeah.
Find me wherever you want. Just search
and
for
Lorraine follows me on Twitter, you guys. So when you see this podcast episode go out tomorrow, I said to Lorraine, you must retweet it. And she said she will. So you might see this interview pop up on her social media as well. And I can connect you guys on Twitter too, if that helps.
Yeah, any way, whatever, if Facebook's your favorite, or Twitter, or whatever, any way, I mean, my email addresses are even listed on my contact page.
Yeah.
So however people, whatever way they have of communicating with others, like I know some people only have email accounts. They don't like social media. So that's why I've listed my email as well. So Lorraine Marie Reguly at gmail.com is my favorite email address.
Yes.
So people can contact me however they want.
People can. And Lorraine, I'm going to ask you to ask me a couple questions about anything that you've been interested in asking me.
Well, I'd like to know more about, like you said, your editor said, well, what's the day of a life, a day in your life living with cerebral palsy? What's your biggest struggle that you find, like your biggest daily struggle?
My biggest daily struggle is my bad back. My bad back. And even though my bad back is getting better, it's still bad. I had a spinal fusion in 2006 for scoliosis, and I need to write a whole book about dealing with scoliosis. Back in, I got the diagnosis in 1999 of scoliosis. I tried to control it up until 2006, and then it just spiraled out of control. I need to write a whole book on dealing with scoliosis.
So do you take painkillers? Do you
No.
do occupational therapy?
I do PT. I do
therapy.
physical
Okay.
therapy, but I have a back brace, which which I'm wearing today. Only the back brace helps me sit up in my office chair, but I use my legs on a daily basis. I do PT, but my biggest struggle is my bad back.
So do you have to sleep with your back brace on, or do you only use it when you're sitting?
I only use it when I'm sitting. I only use it when I'm active, and so I don't have to sleep with my back brace on. I used to.
Oh, really?
I used to wear the dang thing 24/7 before and a lot of people don't know that, before my spinal fusion, I had to wear the dang hunking thing 24/7.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you're able to not have to do that anymore. I mean, you can sleep with it off now, right?
Yes, I can.
So that's a good thing.
I can. And so and after I get my journalism degree, I'm going to write a whole book on having scoliosis and CP.
That's really good because, there's so many people out there that have something, some kind of physical ailment, and they don't talk about it. Like people often wonder like what it's like. I mean, just like being blind. I mean, I met this blind blogger online, and I met him when I did a guest post for somebody's site, and he had left me a comment and he said that he was blind. And I'm like, how the heck is this guy on, like, leaving a comment on a blog post on a website if he's blind? How does he see? How does he read? Then I realized like he was on social media, and I'm thinking, how the heck is this possible? And I mean, with the technology that's available today, that's how it's possible. But as someone who's always been kind of fascinated with blind people and how they live their life on a daily basis, like how do they cook? How do they know what to wear? Like you don't want to wear like a purple shirt with, red pants kind of thing. And so I asked him if I could do an interview with him. And I asked him all these questions that I wanted to know. And I actually published that interview on my Wording Well website, called Interview with a Blind Man. And then I ended up meeting a woman who is also blind and a writer and an author through him. And I basically did the same thing with her. I interviewed her as well. And I mean, I ask questions that everybody has, but that everybody's always afraid to ask. And so I was able to get those answers. And I think with you, by you sharing all of those details of your life in a book, that's going to be awesome, because so many people have questions and they're too afraid to ask them because, you know, like, number one, we don't want to offend the other person. And number two, we don't want to be too nosy and think like, oh, well, you know, maybe I'm crossing a line here by asking, especially if you don't know the person. Like, because I remember, like, I used to see this blind lady catching the city bus when I was going to school, and she had her seeing eye dog with her. And I thought, like, how does the dog know where they are? How does she know where they are on the bus? Because I never saw her talking to the bus driver. I saw her get on. I saw her get off. I'm like, how does she know where she's going? So, I mean, it's like, but I couldn't ask her because I didn't know her. And, you know, like, I'm not really in the habit of just talking to strangers about personal things like that. So, and most people are the same way, right? We're too scared to ask, and but we still have all these questions inside. So I think if you were to share your story and all of your experiences, like all of the things that you go through, you know, how it affects you, how it maybe hinders you from, you know, accomplishing certain things that you want to do, but then also how you use that and twist it around to make it a positive thing, how you're able now to, you know, use the back brace and sit at a computer and actually do some writing and publish your books. And, you know, I mean, all of these things are things that people want to know. And I think it's wonderful that you're planning on sharing all of that.
That's it. Okay, I'm going to write a book on scoliosis, and that will be my graduation present to myself.
Awesome. That's great, Ray.
I'm going to write a book on scoliosis now. I just have to figure out the title of it. And yeah. So, okay, when we talked about publishing books, but what's the best tip for publishing ebooks?
Publishing ebooks is so much easier than making a print version.
Yes.
Simply because ebooks can be any length. Like a print book has a certain length minimum requirement, whereas an ebook, it can be 10 pages, it could be 100 pages, it could be 500 pages. I mean, it could be any length whatsoever. You can include images in it, as many images as you want. You can include links. You can direct people to, you know, after they're finished reading your book, to go to either your website or your social media, or to another link, purchase to another purchase link for a different book. I mean, there's so many possibilities with ebooks. It's unbelievable.
And so what sites would you recommend?
Well, there's different places you can sell your ebooks. You can sell them directly from your website, as long as you have like a PayPal account that you can connect with it. And that's probably the best return that you're going to get in terms of royalty payments, because Amazon will take either 65% or 70% of your earnings, or 30% depending on how you price your book. But they will still take a big chunk from, you know, like 30 to 65% of the main portion, and only give you, you know, a certain amount in royalties. Selz, SELZ, is another place where you can sell your book. They take a smaller percentage for royalties, but then there's other places. I mean, you can go through Gumroad. You can go through If you go through Smashwords, they will distribute your book to Barnes and Noble and the Apple iStore and Kindle and everything, all the different places, and in different formats, like the EPUB and Mobi and everything, different formats. But still, the best way, if you want to make the most money, is actually by selling it through your website.
Okay.
And connecting your PayPal account, which is like an online banking method for people to pay you. I'm sure most people are familiar with PayPal nowadays. And that's what I did with From Nope to Hope. I created a sales page because I wanted people to not only get it at a cheaper amount than Amazon or CreateSpace, because Amazon it sells for like $17 US. If you go to my website and buy it, you can get it for $10.40, or sorry, $10.20.
So, you would recommend that people sell it through their website?
Oh,
And
that's the best way for sure.
okay,
But a
so
lot of people don't have websites, even though they should. So
yes,
they're
people
forced to
need
go
them.
to Amazon, and they're forced to go to other places like Sells. But and see, the thing is with Amazon, I mean, Amazon already has a huge user base. And so if someone buys, like, say they're buying a self-help book, right? And they'll see, oh, other people also bought, and then your book can get listed in that section. So, I mean, there's benefits of using Amazon, but there's pros and cons to every place, really. But I mean, like I said, the best place is to actually get an author website and sell it right there. That's where you'll
Yeah.
make the most money, the most return on your most royalties.
Yep. Okay. So that's it, you guys. I am, as of 2019, when I finish my big project called Win Gets Her Journalism Degree, I am going to fully focus on my books and sell, and possibly make a book out of these podcast interviews, because I know you guys really want that. And I'm going to write a book on scoliosis and do all this stuff and have Lori follow me and see where it goes. And hopefully I can get this book that I recently published under control so you guys can buy it. But I'll let you know what happens with that. And
So in the meantime, where are your books available right now? The ones you've already got published?
on Amazon. They're on Amazon. They're on Kindle. They're on Amazon. They're
So if
on
I wanted to buy one of your books, would I search for author Win Charles?
just, yeah.
Or is it Win Kelly? Or what
It's
name?
both. It's both Win Charles and Win Kelly Charles, and just type in comma WIN, and that's my first book.
Okay.
So yeah.
So anybody who wanted to buy your books that
Yes.
haven't bought your books yet, can
Yes.
just do a simple
Yes.
search on Amazon
Yes.
for author Win Charles.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Yes. And then follow me, you guys. And then thank you for asking that question. Lorraine did a selfish question for herself, but she also did a common knowledge question too. And so thank you for reminding me to promote my own books.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about what you're going to do in 2019.
Yeah,
That's 2 years away, and you know, we want to know what you're doing now and where we can buy your books.
Yeah, I get so tied into these interviews that I forget to promote my own stuff. Oops. And so, thank you for doing that. And
you're welcome.
so all my books could be found on Amazon, you guys. And if you want to contact me, you're welcome to tweet me at Win Kelly, Kelly Charles, and I will be happy to assist. And I appreciate Lori's time today. And I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode. And yes, by the way, we can be found in Spotify. And so that's really exciting news, because now my podcast could be found in Spotify. So I will be concentrating more in 2019 on solely focusing on authors, and then And then I have a 3-year plan out, but for 2019, it will be focusing on authors and their books. And so Butterflies of Wisdom will basically be turning into the authors show for 2019.
And what about for 2018? I mean, we're
What?
coming in 2018, so are you going to?
Oh, that's what I meant.
Podcast?
2018 will be. That's what I meant. 2018 will be the year of the author. 2019 will be the year of disabilities. 2020 will be the year of solo entrepreneurship. And that's my 3-year plan. So 2018 will be the year of the author.
Oh, well, I'm glad that I was able to help you make that transition through today's podcast.
Yes, exactly.
By having somebody who's not only an author herself, but who helps other people become authors.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head by inviting me on this podcast.
Oh,
thank you
yes.
very, very much for having me on it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Really
you're
appreciate
welcome.
It.
And
it was really good to get to know you a little bit better as well.
Yeah, better than we were. And I hope that you will support my work. I hope all of you support my work. And let's try to get me to the New York Times bestseller list. And I appreciate you guys listening. And you guys can always tweet me and give me feedback on the podcast, what you like and what you didn't like. And tweet me and give me feedback, especially on my books. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.